Well, good morning. I hope that you are doing well. We're getting an early start to this devotional, but it's in lieu of TNT tonight, and I hope that you will bring the family together and that you will watch this and gain encouragement from and grow closer to God. You know, these are just some weird times, and as I look across the auditorium and there's nobody here, and people are remodeling, and it just seems, not remodeling, but like painting, and these are just weird times, and it's sad. I miss being with you guys, especially since I'm new, but I am glad to be able to still share some thoughts with you. I want to ask you the question. I almost fell over there, like, whoa! I want to ask you the question, how much are you worth? How much are you worth? I took an online survey one time, and it asked all kinds of things, like how tall are you, where are you from, all these weird, it asked me all kinds of stuff, like what color is your skin, how many toes do you have. It was just really weird. But it was trying to gather how much Alex Blackwelder is worth in terms of money. And I will tell you one thing. I was feeling pretty good about myself. That online thing said that I was close to $3 million. I was worth $3 million. Now, that's a lot of money. And I'm excited to know that I'm $3 million. And I was feeling pretty good about myself until I looked to see what other people were worth. And one guy got close to $9 million. He was worth that much. I was amazed. Then I started feeling really bad about myself. He's 3 times more expensive as I am. He's valued more than I am. Well, as silly as that is, our value shouldn't be based on money or how many likes we get on Facebook or whatever, how many views we get or whatever. Our value should be in how God views us. And so, going back to that question, how much are you worth? I'm called to flip over to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. And I hope that you do that as well. Normally we think about this as the marriage chapter of the Bible. And so Paul talks and he says, if you're circumcised, that's fine. Live as you've been called to live. If you're not circumcised, well, that's fine too. Live as you've been called to live. If you're a slave, honor your master and live as you've been called to live. If you're not a slave, guess what? You got it right. Live as you've been called to live. And he says in verse 22, for the Lord, chapter 7, verse 22, for he who was called in the Lord as a bondservant is a freed man of the Lord. Likewise, he who was set free when he is called a bondservant of Christ. But look at verse 23. You were bought with a price. So do not become bondservants of men. I want us to focus on that phrase, you were bought with a price. It's pretty interesting to think that we have been bought. I was adopted, and it's a common joke in the household family that there was a barcode somewhere on me, and my parents, beep, moved me on. But we've been bought. And sometimes we don't like that. And if we come to think of it, a lot of times we like being free, right? We don't like the idea of having to be submissive to something else. I'm reminded of common passages like John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. We've been bought, not in terms of money, obviously, but through the blood of Christ. And we are freed from our sins because of that. But we've been bought, and so we are God's and He is ours. And that's something that I think we need to remember more often than maybe what we do. We are God's and He is ours. There's value. If we're God's, then we are valued. Obviously, we're made in the image and the likeness of God. And so the fact that He has called us to Himself shows that we are people of value. Do any of you at home have a lot of money? Are any of you walking? Of course, you would have to be walking around in your house, but do y'all have money? Let me just tell you, Mississippi allergies, whew, they are real, y'all. They are real. But money. Do any of you happen to have $1 million on you? Well, if you do, you can swing by the church building and deposit it by account. That'd be nice. But my guess is, most of us just don't have, $100 laying around in our wallets or anything like that. Notice I said most of us. I happen to have $1 million on me. And, I look forward to spending this and maybe buying myself a 2021 Corvette. This would be nice. But say I rip this. Say I rip this. It's ripped. And say I rip it, it's now becoming, $500,000. But I rip it. Man, what's going on? Why is Alex doing this? And I crumble it up, and I drop it, and I stomp on the ground, see the bottom of my shoe, who knows what's on the bottom of my shoe, and now it's all dirty. How many of you, knowing that this would be a real $1 million bill, would drive up to the building, forget the coronavirus, would drive up to the building and come pick up this $1 million? My guess is most of you, if not all of you that are watching this, would come and do that. You would rush like chickens with their head cut off trying to get this $1 million. Now, why do I have this $1 million? Well, notice it doesn't look very good. Okay, so here's the reason why. The value of this bill does not change based on what's been done to it. The value of this bill does not change based on the rips, what's been on the bottom of my foot, the wrinkles, all of this. It is still a $1 million bill. The value does not change based on what's happened to it. Similarly, our value in God's sight does not change based on what we've done good about our life. Now, here's the deal. Here's the catch. Obviously, when we sin, we disappoint God. And when we sin, that sin creates a barrier between us and God. But our value in God's eyes does not change. It does not change at all. And so we have passages like Romans chapter 5 and verse 8 and reminding us that, yes, we're in sin, but Christ died for the ungodly. Christ died for me. He died for you. And so when we look at our value, we need to understand that, we may be wrinkled up. We may not be this beautiful, crisp bill, but our value is still where it should be. And our value is still what it is because God still loves us. Woo! See, I'm still ripping it. And it does not change. And so I wanted to encourage us, especially during this time of isolation and whatnot, we can start getting depressed. Since we're not really interacting with each other, our routine is messed up and stuff like that. It's easy to get depressed. let me encourage us to not let our value depreciate or whatever because of all that. We're still valued in God's sight, and He loves us very much. I love you very much, and I look forward to us being able to be back together. But don't forget the $1 million. You're still valued. You are valued by so many. You're loved by so many. And more importantly, you're valued and loved by God, the Creator of all. And I look forward to seeing you when I see you. And until then, this has been TNT Devotional. Okay. Y'all take care. Be safe. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.